This is the first building that Buck Duke built on the property in 1899. It's one of the three iconic stone barns, and we were faced with deterioration of the original slate roof. As you can see, we're completely replacing the roof. We were able to sound. This is hopefully the first stage, and some other improvements we can make to turn this into our conference and workshop center.
We're almost done with the exterior envelope restoration of the coach barn at Duke Farms, where we replaced the cedar, the slate, and the copper gutters, and we were fortunate to be able to reuse, to remove and reinstall the original copper ornamental hip and ridge components. We also did some repointing of the clock tower, and eventually the completion of the replacement of the clock dial, the painting of the numbers, replacing the hands so they're closer to what the original Seth Thomas hands would have looked like. And we restored the weather vane, so it indeed once again has the D for Duke. At some point in time it was modified, and now the weather vane is actually indeed once again a weather vane, as opposed to just being a stationary vane. We also found out when it was down on the at Gentry's shop that the letters were actually gilded, so we convinced Duke Farms to re-gild the letters, so once again the weather vane will look like it as it did, I'm going to say, in Buck Duke's time. So 115 years ago.
Years ago, my dad was here and actually electrified this clock. Originally the clock had weights and needed to be wound, and we electrified the clock probably back in the 70s, and the clock has continued to work from that year forward. Originally the clock was put in around 1900. July 24th of 1900 actually is on the side of the clock. Seth Thomas Clock Company out of Thomaston, Connecticut had built and provided this clock, and until in the 70s, then a good 70 years later is when it was electrified, as many were throughout the country, and it worked till today, till now. It's primarily maintenance and upgrading, and the clock continues to run. Cumberland stained glass provided and replaced the clock acrylic, replaced the faces and cleaned up and painted the cast iron frames. And I cleaned up the clock movement, the dial gears, provided new clock hands, and then we're installing a new time motor and control that will automatically update the clock, or automatically advance the clock after power failures and daylight saving time changes, but still using the original Seth Thomas tower clock movement.
That's great. And so this is a clock hand that you're holding right here.
Exactly. This is a minute hand for one of the sides. They're made of aluminum, and they made of a design that they felt was probably very similar to what the original design was.
I'm Steve McLaughlin. I'm the roofing consultant for this project. It's a beautiful slate roof that is, it was about approximately 110 years old. It was in a state of complete failure, and it's an historic building, so we wanted to replace it with a quality slate. The color is slightly different than the original. It's a black slate. We used a Buckingham, Virginia slate, which is an extremely dense slate, domestic slate. It approximately 300 miles drive, so it falls within the LEED design ideas, even though it's not a LEED project. And the slate are 10 by 20 by quarter to 3/16 inch thick slate, and all the flashings are copper, various weights. The valleys are 24 ounce, the gutters are 20 ounce, the step flashings and counter flashings are 16 ounce. There's 3 roofs that are flat lock soldered copper roofs that are all done with 20 ounce copper. All the seams are peened and cleated and then soldered together. So part of the project was replacing the cedar shake mansards, and all of the dormers had cedar shakes on them as well. So they were replaced as part of the project. Being a 110-year-old building, there was no insulation, so we kind of took a unique approach on this particular building, and we added an inch of polyisocyanurate insulation and 3/4 inch plywood on top of that, which is secured down into the original deck. That gave us a basic airlock between the attic space and the outside elements, and we also added lightning protection, which was not here. So you can see a lot of air terminals and copper cables running across the roof. That is to protect the building from lightning and make it more safe for the people within the structure. We expect this roof to last in excess of 100 years.
Project on the Coach Barn.
Absolutely. The Coach Barn is kind of an animal by itself. It introduces every phase of what we've done over the last 40 years. Between the metalwork that's involved with here, the cedar that's involved with here, the architecturally correct metalwork that we had to compare with and to tie into, made it very unique. And you can see the final product. It shows the attention that Duke Farms paid into having it done correctly, and the work that was put into it to get to where it is today. It looks awesome.
Excellent.
When you're dealing with this many different penetrations, be it dormers or flat roofing, and tying it all together and having it look uniform when you're done, is probably one of the toughest things you can do with slate or any other type of shingle roofing or slope roofing. What we did here was, because of the attention to detail and the way it was put together, I think we achieved what the association was trying to reach.
Yeah, this roof was a very special project for our company, being that there's every aspect of slate, roofing, and metal involved with this. I mean, there can't be any more details than there is on this roof project. So it was a bit of a challenge for us, and that's what we do. We face challenges. I mean dormers, I mean spires, I mean hexagon roofs, I mean just flat seam roofs. I mean, you name it. Finial pieces for all the cones and stuff like that, and all the special ornate ridge and hip caps. I mean, it just it has every aspect of the job that that you would most people would dream of being a slate Bible. Just the way this whole job has been put together. So somebody thought pretty far ahead architecturally to design this roof.
So how do you tell if the slate is good enough to use?
By the sound.
Or can you demonstrate that?
Hear that ring?
Mm-hmm.
I already destroyed all the stuff that was bad in it.
Right.
But if you hear that ring, it's pretty denoting. That sounds a little iffy, maybe. They all generally should sound the same. Now see, that's a little deader, but you can still hear it. It's still good. When you hear, if I go through 50 of these, I won't find what I need for you guys, but what happens is,
Well, this is obviously bad, right?
well, just the part that broke it.
Yeah, but near that edge, would that be bad?
Yeah, what happens, let me see. No, that's a good piece now.
Yeah.
What happens is you'll get a fissure, meaning a fracture or something in the slate.
Mm-hmm.
And when you sound the slate, you'll hear a buzz, like a buzz. Not that ring. You'll know there's a fracture, or like on this, like see that edge there?
Yeah.
Sometimes you get an edge that sits above the body of the slate. So what you would do is just knock that off, sound it again, buzz is gone. And that's all it is. So you're not blowing a whole piece of slate saying, that's no good.
Right.
It's just little tricks that, it takes a long time to just realize it. And the time it takes to do it is seconds. To sound a piece, it don't take nothing to go. Good piece, boom, it's going
And
on.
what's it?
I trace this, and there's already one nail hole, but I need another, so usually I just pop one in like that. And then I stay on the center of the station. You always have to cut it from the back too. That's what gives it its beveled edge.
that guideline that you're going along, is that indented in there, or is it just a...
No, I just scratched it. I
Okay.
just traced it with my slate. Yeah. Flintstone style.
You're pretty good.
I've been doing it a long time. My teacher was pretty good.
Oh yeah? What's his name?
He's standing behind you.
Yeah, Keebler's been trying to get them to work for him, and I... Stainless steel smooth shank nails. Got a tape up here. My tape's down there.
Doing there now, Tony?
That's 8.5 inches. That's our exposure.
Okay, so that's the exposure you're laying down there.
Right. And I don't know if you can see this, but these are our vertical lines here.
Yep, I can see them.
Yeah, so that gives us our vertical.
Got it.
And that's what keeps our roof straight. We run off of that.
So it lines up right.
Yeah.
So the slates overlap perfectly.
Yep. 2 nails per slate.
And we saw you punch those holes in already. How you punch those holes in?
Yeah. Like, suppose you have, suppose you don't have no nailing in here. You're on a seam of a board or something. Then you'd have to change your nail hole, so you just punch 2 higher, so you can get the wood.
Got it. Excellent. So you just repeat that how many thousands of times on a roof like this?
10,000. That's my day. Alex only gets 3,000. But then, and then you're going to go. Then your next course is, and I sound the slate before I install it, which I didn't do.
So that one sounds good there.
It sounds like a bell, sort of. And then my next course will stagger the joint below.
So you get that staggering pattern.
Pretty good, huh? So I want to hold that secondary line. And our lines are 5 inches. That's our seam. They're 10-inch slate. So your stagger is 5.
Makes sense.
I can hear that too.
Okay, this is Mars. These are master craftsmen, copper craftsmen. Say hello to the audience, Mars.
Just for history?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, for posterity. So explain to us what you're doing here, Mars. Why don't you explain what Mars is doing, Tony?
Mars is custom cut into every piece, which is individually cut, and it's fabricated on this portable brake here. So right now he's making a counter flashing for the wall.
Now, and everything's just thought out. It's just something you don't rush.
Right.
You think every step of the way. And then it becomes natural. And that's the way it works.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody can just start out. There ain't no apprenticeship unless you work hands-on.
Yeah.
You can't teach us in a classroom.